Okay, welcome to the Thursday, August 4th, 2022 Public Safety Committee meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order at 4:05. And let's get right to general business. I think typically the council members will vote to approve the meeting minutes, or is it a committee decision?
I think that's a council member.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and table that until the next meeting. And Vanessa Acierto is absent, but she's going to prepare the meeting minutes. So she'll review this meeting and prepare the minutes for us. Thank goodness. We sure do appreciate her. Okay, and let's move right along to new business and department briefings. First on the list in the hot seat is Chief Wolf. Hello, hello.
We actually had a quieter week this week after our 3 shootings the previous week. So, but we don't have anything new coming to council until budget time. One of the things that I'll prep you for is the fee that we can charge for body cam video. It takes quite a bit of time to redact those, and Marie Hansen, our supervisor in records, has recommended that a fee change to that. That's something that'll be new. So that'll be coming up in the budget process. I know that we like to make things accessible to citizens and stuff, but this is one thing that it is a drain on resources, and we want to limit it. The victims and actual people that have a right to it, we get it, period. But everyone else wanting to get stuff, it does help keep that at a manageable amount. So that's why we'll be doing that. So more to follow on that. And other than that, that's all I got.
Great. All right. Thank you. We'll look for that in the upcoming budget season. And you already made that, in your department, you've already made that change in your budget request that you're going to be submitting, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. Next on the list, Fire, Chief McGanney.
Okay, so we're not changing any of our rates and fees, so you don't have to see that. So today is kind of exciting. It's the fire department's 120th birthday to the date. So
Great.
That's exciting. And most exciting news I have for you is Medic 4 went in service on Monday, which thanks to City Council, last year's budget, we were able to get 3 new employees. So we have a daytime car, and that runs from Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6. And they're a very big help yesterday on our structure fire that we had over on 4th Street. And Chief, thank you for all your guys that did a great job with keeping people and a lot of looky-loos out of that area. For a while, it was very stubborn fire, so the guys blocked off the street for us, were a huge help. So
yeah, that looked messy. Pat, do we know if that's suspicious, or do we have a causation?
Not yet. I mean, they're still looking at it. I think they're back out there today doing an investigation. I don't think it's suspicious. We do have some other issues going on, not in that area, but in different parts that Mike's looking at right now. They had 4 other fires besides this one, just small grass fires.
Oh yeah, the shopping cart fires.
Yeah,
yeah,
those type of things. So, and then Jennifer, the only thing that we'll be coming to council with, again, like I touched on, is the medic units. And as soon as I get everything put together and get all the bids for that, I'm still waiting on one, and then we'll get that to council besides the budget. So
For next year's budget proposal?
Well, the medic units will be coming to you for approval this year. We won't see any of them till next year, but
If you're lucky, or maybe year 2026, or who knows, but no, those are the chassis.
2026, that would be somebody else's problem probably, so.
If everything goes according to your plan.
Don't they all have to be electric by 2026, Pat?
Again, that might be somebody else's problem. They are going to, I think next month, Rosenbauer is going to bring up their electric fire truck. So LA City bought an electric fire truck.
I wonder how that runs. I'd be curious to find, I mean, I know we have people who are, let me reply to Quinn. He was messaging me. Yes, we have a quorum. He's slammed with his caseload at UW. Yeah, I'd be curious to find out how that electric unit actually works, how long it, how well it operates for.
Well, so it does have a diesel powered motor that charges the electrical system, because it has to, because it can't run out of pumping capability on a fire, right? So
Yeah,
but the price tag is about double what a regular pumper would cost. It's $1.5 million for an engine.
I wonder long game though, if it's economical or not. I mean,
Yeah,
you're not
well,
using that much gas, I guess, because you're staying in a 5-mile radius for the most part. So you're not spending a lot of money on gas. So I guess it would make a lot of sense if you're traveling longer distances, but yeah. You just got my wheels turning on that one. We'll make that the next standing agenda item, okay? Just kidding. All right, great. So next on the list is legal. So we have City Prosecutor Hershey with us today. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Not much to report. I can't really speak to the rest of legal prosecution. We are very busy per usual, thanks to Tom. So we're pretty swamped. I'm trying to think. We have a budget request to hopefully update a pretty woefully outdated case management software system. We're trying to go completely paperless, cloud-based, enjoying the rest of 21st century. Aside from that, the therapeutic court planning is definitely underway. Heather can fill you in on that.
Yeah, exciting.
And what else? We're working with the lieutenants on a officer training on report writing with the county, which I'm excited for. We have a bunch of new officers and they're great so far, but I think it'll be really helpful for everyone to get that training underway. Other than that, it's just business as usual.
Fantastic.
So Council Person Chamberlain, I just want to say you don't usually interact with the prosecutor's office a lot. And especially at the
Yes, wait, you have not done a public records request on me then, huh?
Oh, no. Why would I? That's right.
Now you're going to. All right. No, I've never had any interaction with this prosecutor.
Right. So this prosecutorial office right now, Gary and Amanda are outstanding. I'll just chip in right now. If anybody comes and asks for pay raises for them, please give it to them, because we want to keep these guys. They are outstanding. There is so much that happens in their office, and it's more than they can do. I mean, they have to triage everything. Some cases they just can't take forward. And I've got guys that are crying in their Wheaties over that. And it's, it's a business decision sometimes, but they really do a good job of, they're kind of the last line of defense for our citizens that are getting victimized by some of our low-level repeat offenders, and they do such a good job. So I don't think anybody ever tells them that or says it publicly, and because we just never see them. Apparently you see them all the time, but the rest
not
of the
lately, not since 2006-ish.
Well, let's keep that record going. That's
or
a good
not
thing.
going.
Yeah.
I was in college then. I guarantee I had no part of it.
But,
I don't even think you
anyway.
can find me on a Washington State Patrol check anymore. So
There you go.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
And I absolutely agree with you, Tom. A bunch of very hardworking professionals, and we're lucky to have everybody up there: Gary, Amanda, Carrie, and Jen.
Thank you, Heather. This is a nice meeting, I gotta say.
Thanks for coming.
How Carrie is not a day drinker, I'll never know.
We're pushing her that way, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, she's a cat herder, but
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Gary, will the therapeutic court be help alleviate some of the burden that you have?
Well, I hope so. I mean, the ultimate goal is like Tom said, we have a lot of people where we've tried everything under the sun to try to get them the help they need, to try to encourage them to stop committing a lot of those lower level quality of life offenses that we see over and over and over again, people suffering with addiction and mental illness. And we're hoping to focus on those defendants that we see over and over again. And hopefully just having a new atmosphere, a harm reduction atmosphere where we're just trying to, we may never get this person early, stop drinking, but if we can get them to stop smashing windows downtown, stop, any small victory would be wonderful, because a lot of times you just feel like you're banging your head against the wall and throwing jail at them. There's a certain benefit to it where the community gets a break from them being out on the street, but it's not a solution. So I'm really hoping that it's going to be a benefit to the community. But it will definitely be a time and resource crunch, and we're already then, but it's yet to be seen exactly what impact that's going to have on our office individually and the amount of time and resources we're expending towards it.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I know that there's staffing attached to that behavioral court system, right, Heather? So hopefully you'll have a staff person that will manage the program. Can you tell me about the staffing for the behavioral courts that's in the plan? I know you're welcome to give us an update too about the therapeutic court. I know we've seen you a lot, but love to hear from you.
So with the therapeutic court grant funding, there is some allowance for personnel. Unfortunately, it's only going to give the prosecutor's office a half-time prosecutor. It does give the court a full-time community coordinator, but that person, I anticipate only having do the therapeutic court about half-time and then performing other court duties as assigned. We're in the grant process. We were authorized to accept last night on the ones from the administrative office of the courts, and then Judge Flood and I applied for the 0.1% tax grants out of county today. So
Great.
yeah, cross your fingers. Yeah, so
Yeah.
all the money's coming our way. It's just going to be creating these positions and figuring how we're going to integrate that into our current schedule, Gary?
Yeah, that's our schedule is pretty,
Okay.
it is, but we'll talk about it. We'll figure something out.
All right, so great, new programs are great. So it's my question about it alleviating some of your burden, probably not in the beginning. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of infrastructure and foundational work that needs to be done, which is going to be an additional stretch on your time and resources, not to mention training new people. So if you're going to get a half-time prosecutor, I mean, you'll need to orientate them, and and a full-time coordinator, well, there's going to be orientating and training. And so when you're saying otherwise assigned, I'm assuming like they'll be making these community connections, but then maybe like the administrative type, is that kind of what the full-time coordinator will be doing? Like, tell me what you meant by the.
When I say other duties as assigned, if they're not actively doing therapeutic court duties or tasks, then they have the ability to be in the office to help answer phone calls, take payments, be there for the public that comes through the court office. So
Okay.
at first though, because there's going to be so much planning and coordination with all of our stakeholders, I don't anticipate they'll have much time for that.
What you're thinking.
That may be a little bit later. What's that?
That's what I was thinking too. It seems like, it seems like there would be a lot of administrative work that goes along with therapeutic court, a lot of direct contact, a lot of follow up with community agencies, stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it seems like this person would be busy depending on how much the caseload. What is the capacity? What is the projected capacity for the caseload with the FTE that you're bringing on? Do you have that?
We have not determined that yet.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. You
So
don't know,
probably-
you don't know who's gonna be the right candidate. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the capacity will probably start off small, and then therapeutic courts around the state between like 10 and 30 people as far as an active. A lot of times you'll start off when you first enter therapeutic court, you're going to have more meetings, more court hearings, more like when you first start. But then as you get your legs under you and more established, you're coming less often. But it's a relatively small number of people, but that have a lot of hearings, a lot of resources, a lot of different people approaching the situation from a holistic perspective, hopefully working together is the idea. But it's not an enormous percentage of our cases filed by any stretch.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the drug court model. Is it going to be set up in a similar way where there'll be phases, you can get sanctioned, get bumped back a phase, that sort of thing until you graduate? Is that kind of okay?
Most likely, we're still in the very early discussions, but I think community court broadly addressing both mental health and chemical dependency issues. So it's likely to follow similar to a drug court model. They all, there's some variety between different models throughout the state, but they all do tend to follow that basic phase pattern where you're working through and hopefully graduating.
Yeah, y'all have all put a lot of thought into it and done a lot of research. I know and it sounds like you're implementing best practices. So it's super exciting. Always been a big supporter of these type of, as you mentioned, harm reduction style programs. So thank you. Anything else from legal?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Great, thank you. Council member reports. Well, Council member Fry isn't here. She is taking her this is my I'm reporting for her. She's taking her grandchildren on the big wheel in Seattle. There's the official report. So she needed to have family time. And Councilmember Dennehy is obligated with work right now. He might be able to pop in at 4:30. I will wait till we get to the fireworks ordinance portion. As far as council member reports, thank you, Chief Wolf. We had a good meeting. You ate some good cookies, sounds like. We talked through. We have a, I got to learn a little bit more about the state of the Behavioral Health Navigator program. So that was good.
Are you free next week?
Maybe. Do I get this right along?
Yeah, we can get you on a ride along, but the cookies too. Bring more cookies. Those
That
were
bonus? I will
amazing.
trade cookies for a ride along. How about that?
Deal.
All
Well,
right.
I think Fire's feeling left out here.
I need to, you know what? I'm a little scared of a 24-hour ride along, but I'll do a 12-hour ride along. So I think I need to probably schedule that too.
Well, how about I'll make you this deal? How about you come first and I'll take you for a tour?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
And then right now, while we're talking about this, Chief McGanny, who do you have? Who's the name of the person that I contact to make that appointment with you for a ride along for fire or tour first for the fire department?
Well, you can contact me directly.
I'll just contact you directly.
Call
I
me
thought you were going to
directly.
give me is it Barbara? Is that who you're?
No, that's Chief Wolf.
Tom's. Oh God.
Mine is Sarah.
Sarah. I should
Yeah.
be able to remember that. That's my middle name. Plus I know a million Sarahs. Okay. Yeah. Take a tour. Y'all gotta let me get through a couple weekends though, because I've got some big events, but I'm gonna have a lot of leftover cookies. So that's happening. Yeah, because I'd love to do that. I think I really enjoyed the ride along that I had with Officer Garrity, right? And I couldn't hack it till midnight. He dropped me off at like 11 or 11:30. but it was good. So it was still in the it was a lot going on. I always want to go on a weekend night because I want to see everything that happens. But I was curious. I mean, I feel like, and I need to just kind of like, I'm always going to state that there's a little bit of a conflict of interest that I have, like my son and my partner work in McLeod's, but my goodness, Chief Wolf, can you give us an update? Is it at the point of becoming, I just keep seeing these reports, and and people love posting your BPD newsletter clips about McLeod's. That's the one people seem to post on social media all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what the state of that property is.
Well, I think, I believe that they are cooperating in a way that's helpful now. Their owner, and a lot of times you run into this where the owners talk a good game, but they don't want to spend any money to do anything. And I don't know as though the owner's even on site when a lot of this goes on. One of the major problems we had the previous week is now in jail. The guy that was involved in the shooting up on the east side the other day that we scooped up, he was causing problems up there the previous weekend. And that guy is a major problem. So having him gone helps.
Okay.
So hopefully it won't continue. We've sent stuff off to the Navy, and I think they're considering about making it off limits. Because if you keep getting the same volatile mixture of, and some of it is not even McLeod's fault. You got people parking, a couple blocks away, drinking a whole bunch of alcohol, and then coming on into their establishment already drunk. But that's where the staff there has to recognize it and kick them out, and not, you got to stop it before it gets going when it's out of control. So
yeah, and I used to do Lyft, and the big pickups and drop-offs and go-betweens, you can guess the two places, the garage and McLeod's, right? So just constantly back and forth. And I could see how it could be a situation where things get past staff real easy because it's so crazy and crowded. I mean, I definitely have seen bigger crowds, but the energy, and maybe it's a local versus Navy type of energy too. I don't know, but there's a lot of energy. I guess that's the best way I can put it without being, too discreet. So yeah, I just was kind of wanting to check in on that. I might ask you again if there's an update in a few months, because it just feels like every weekend there's some new horrible report about McLeod's and some violence that's happening, and it's gotten more and more. I don't know if it's gotten more and more dangerous, but it feels like it's ramping up. Like the violence is ramping up to more frequent than it was this time last year.
Yeah, and we and then you add to it kind of the national narrative of don't cooperate with the police. You don't have to obey the law. You don't have to listen to the police. I mean, we have a lot of just kind of an overall lawless attitude. You probably see it on the roadways. You've probably seen a lot of cars with no license plates. You've watched some of the motorcycles go by at 90 miles an hour. And there's this, it's kind of twofold. You've got a whole bunch of people that are supporting us like I've never seen in my career. I mean, people coming up and saying, oh my gosh, thank you for what you do. Calling up, sending us notes like I've never seen. And then the other side of it is when you get in a crowd like that, just this whole, even at the high school, at some of the basketball games this year, I mean, 14-year-old girls just openly confronting authority like we've never seen before. And they're under the misguided idea that they can do that they're allowed to just flagrantly, just ignore law and order. And so some of that we hand back to the school district to deal with and just say, they're yours, you deal with them. Or find someone else to do security for you. We're not going to do this anymore because it just doesn't rise to a level where we need to be involved. And there's just a no-win at some point for the city and the police department. But when it comes to McLeod's, it is, we work really hard to work with the owner to start with. And if we start getting the sense that we're not getting any help, from the owner. Then we go other routes. You know, we get liquor control. They come in, they put people in there to see if they'll overserve, if they'll serve underage people. We talk to the fire department about capacities and fire issues. We talk to the military about making it off limits. We bring in the state patrol and we start picking off all the drunks leaving there. And there's lots of different ways you go about it. And the whole purpose though is public safety, because if one kid gets killed up there, that's one too many. And predictable is preventable. So if we can do everything we can to make it well known that that's just not a place to go be a fool, go have fun. It's one of the only nightclubs in driving easy driving distance for people in Silverdale, Bremerton area. Don't make it a bad thing. So, and then as the bar starts to establish who the problem people are, and they start to trespass people and just, they have whole pictures of people that, you're not welcome here anymore. The word gets out. Sometimes they'll change their music venue to kind of dissuade things depending on what their problems are.
I know. Yeah, I know about that too. My partner works all night and he works until closing. And sometimes they will, when the energy is crazy, they'll turn the lights on early. Things like that. I just was thinking more about if I were to see the data, if I were looking at a data chart, right, on the number of incidences that have occurred in a 12-month period, and I don't know, there's always, reasons why, more people get picked off if you have a particular emphasis in that space. Then there's going to be more, there's going to be more citations, more, incidents, recorded. But it just feels like, and maybe it's just a general atmosphere in Bremerton that there's rising incidences of violence. And so that's what I'm curious, is because causation or correlation doesn't always equal causation, right?
I think over the history of Bremerton, we've always had that bar. As far back as
the city. Okay.
Yeah. It was McLeod's over on Perry Avenue. Before that, it was Castaways. Before it was Castaways, it was Noodles. It was the Night Shift Tavern. It was Sinclair's. It was, for the longest time, it was the El Camino down on Callow, which then is now Chet's Place. Then the Garage, then not the Garage. The Garage they made some big changes out at the Garage.
Tell me about the changes they made that helped improve their atmosphere, so to speak.
I don't know. I specifically don't know what they did. Suddenly we just weren't having the problems out there like we were. And I have a feeling it was their staff clamped down on who was we still have fights and we still have problems out there. And remember, when it's a bar and it spills out, it's not just one or two officers. It's typically the shift that's going, and then a few county and a few state patrol too, because now the last incident we had at McLeod specifically, because of how we had people at the crowd pulling at the officer. One of my officers has scratches up and down his arm from one of the females because he was arresting one of the guys, and one of the females came over and was literally attacking the officer. We've made it very clear we're not wading into that mess again. We're going to wait until we have enough people, and then we'll move in and take care of it. So people get hurt during that time frame, but our officers are not going to get hurt because it's just too dangerous. So, and we've had that over the history with different places. El Camino was one of them where we would wait until we had at least a dozen or more officers on scene, and then we would move in as a group and start arresting people that were still causing problems. And we just do them one at a time instead of, getting into a big melee. And it's safer for us. It's safer for the people we're arresting.
Absolutely.
And then if we have to do that kind of stuff, then we just shut the establishment down for the night too. And we tell them, yeah, you're done. And that hurts their bottom line. They don't want to get there. So
Well, you know how those owners are all about the bottom line. I'm sure they don't want to see the Navy personnel have to go away. And so I was just curious. I mean, I guess it's not really our job to do technical assistance with owners. I was just kind of wondering if they ever, made connections in that way.
Yeah, we've had meetings up there with the owner and ongoing. The operations lieutenant and captain are up there talking to them, and
Is there a set of best practices that like, is there a resource?
oh yeah, the
to
liquor
refer
control.
to?
Yeah,
Okay.
they come in and they have all of that, and especially for bars that are kind of notorious or out of control.
Okay.
And and then other times, some of it is too is we keep telling people is everybody wants your police department to be their private security, and it doesn't work that way. They as you get these complaints as a council person. Well, why don't the police come and do this for my private property? And it's like, well, that's not what we're here for. And there's not enough of us to do it. If your business is having this problem, hire private security. And like Diamond Parking, we got into it with one of them recently, and it was, well, that's a service that the city just doesn't provide. But I know in Seattle for a fact that you have security people that work in your parking lots. Why don't you hire them here also? If you want that kind of atmosphere in your parking lot for your customers, then provide it. But it's not the city that's footing that bill. So that's something that we encourage people to is, you need more security.
Yeah, well, the liquor board has best practices for how establishments can make their place safer. Okay, thank you for the update. I was just kind of wanted to check in on that. I mean, it's not just social media, I hear about it weekend nights when my partner, gets off work. I hear about, oh, there's another fight. Oh, there's this, but he doesn't always see it because he's in the back. He keeps out of the,
Well, he's smart.
Oh yeah, he's not security. No,
Yeah.
he,
Yep, stay out of the line of fire. So.
That's right. So it's he's like, that's not my job. Okay, thank you for the update. I have an update, and y'all know the noise ordinance passed with zero discussion this time around. It would just went, we have the noise ordinance in effect now. So there are some changes, and I know that the 200 feet rule on the weekends was a little controversial. And I just wanted to give some explanation about that it kind of came from just that one specific case having to do with Brother Don's and the neighbors in that area behind Brother Don's, that the consultation resulted in a recommendation or that 180 feet would do it as far as the distance, allotted, that it was 180 feet would be fine. So the weekends, the music venues and commercial zones have 200 feet of extra leeway for music. So I hope that it doesn't have a lot of negative. I mean, I know that the mayor and other folks weren't exactly pleased about that. And so, but we are excited to have a working noise ordinance in place now. So hopefully that's something that will be a relief that you can enforce. And I don't have anything else to add. Are there any questions or any conversation about the noise ordinance that you'd like to have at this time? Cool. We are at 4:39. So the fireworks ordinance, I'm going to keep this kind of short and brief. So I thought Jeff would be joining us. I don't see him with us today. So I'll extend the invitation again, Jeff, Director Elevato. But what I'm in the research phase of doing, and I need more people to work this out with, to see if this is a feasible plan. But I've been doing some research on an educational campaign. I think I spoke to both you, Chief Wolf, and Chief Begani about this idea. It's just getting ahead of the game for next year and working on a long game kind of approach to the fireworks ordinance. We don't have a lot of, I don't know what the support would be for banning. I don't think that most people on council think that banning fireworks is a good idea. I think that it's a contentious issue. We get the same people that complain every year, right? Publicly. But we don't get the tens of thousands of people who like fireworks, or maybe it's less than tens of thousands, but we don't get compliments for the most part. So I think one way to approach it, I think Councilmember Younger mentioned there's 3 options. He said, you can at the last, right around 4th of July, right after 4th of July, you can ban them, you can put it on the ballot, or you can have a campaign of enforcement where you go through and do a bunch of fining, and then people will know you're serious. Well, I just thought about he's right, there could be a campaign, but I don't think an enforcement campaign is feasible, and especially after talking with you, Chief Wolf, and just knowing the data that the more interactions you have with the public, the more likely you or they are to be injured, or and it seems like an issue that is it's annoying for people, but it's not imminent harm and threat, except although Chief McGanny would argue when people are lighting their whole trunks on fire from fireworks, right?
You mean when they're putting expended fireworks in their trunk that are still hot? Yeah, that doesn't work all the time. So
That's self-correcting.
yeah, it does. It corrects itself.
So to be clear on a lot of these issues is both fire and police, we do respond and deal with the issues that rise to a public safety issue.
Sure.
And we address that. We have, literally thousands of interactions with citizens a year, and the use of force is 0.0017. So it's not even a percent. So, I just want to hit that. I've heard that narrative a few times.
Okay.
And police have, across the United States, we have about 5.3 million interactions with citizens a year. And out of that, about 1,000 people, and some of them are trying to kill us, of course, or other people, are shot and killed. And that's 0.00178. So it's less than 1% of all interactions. So it's very low use of force and stuff. And that number continues to go down. And what we found too is as people are on camera now and they know that they're being videotaped, that's helping to change some of their behaviors for the better. And we're showing the work that our people do. I really like that. It's just the sheer, and what we were trying to get across last time when we talked about the calls that we did go to on 4th of July, we were going to events that were much higher priority than loud fireworks. And at some point we're out of resources, we're out of firemen, we're out of cops. And the city of Bremerton couldn't put enough cops on the street to enforce fireworks. And if the fireman's greatest fear is if we did posse comitatus for the day and we said, every one of you, we're swearing you in as a honorary police officer today, and you're going to go out and enforce fireworks for us too, we don't have enough firemen either. So, that's the reality, because of what we have to focus on the high priority stuff. And sometimes fireworks is mixed into those high priorities. So like we had one guy a few years ago that was shooting fireworks into the neighbor's house, and then the neighbor was coming out with a gun threatening to shoot him. Yeah, we got all over that one. So, but just you're annoying me because you're lighting off loud fireworks. Yeah, we don't have the resources to deal with that.
Well, when we talk about this capacity issue, we're talking mostly about the day of, maybe even if it's on a weekend, the day before.
Yep.
But really, this is an issue that goes on for weeks. And so I think there's some frustration, but I understand that it's really difficult. You got to catch somebody. Like when there was somebody who was lighting off M80s. I live over by Lions Park, 6 a.m. Thank you for the wake up call. I can't pinpoint where it's coming from. I live near the water. it's reverberates. So I understand the difficulty in actually responding to outside of the day of calls, right? Because you have to actually catch somebody. And
Yeah.
so I get that. So really, so the idea is that I'm researching with multiple stakeholders, a way to do a long game educational campaign with the stakeholders sharing who are of impacted groups and like legitimately impacted groups to see if they can just put some information out starting at late May, early June, and maybe we can all collaborate and share each other's information. Maybe these stakeholders will pass it out to their clients, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that there was probably a lot of, and every year y'all deal with it. People are ticked off, on council about fireworks. They get all these emails about fireworks. Parks Department is upset. I do want to honor their work, and I do want to wait till Director Elevato comes because I would like him to kind of share. And so I'm just kind of worried about the disconnect. Maybe he didn't get a link to come. And it's nothing you haven't heard before, but we're about to invest tens of thousands of dollars in that pickleball court, and it's and other, dollars that go into, taking care of and improving our parks. The term he used was, it feels demoralizing that we work so hard to make the parks beautiful and then nobody cares. And our property, the property in the park gets ruined and so let's wait for him to come. I would like him to come and share and but really I would like to continue research. I'm going to wait till my other council members are with me next month, and I'm still going to invite Director Elevato to come. But I'm not going to keep this on for the entire year, but I'd like to kind of roll with this for a few months while I get some information together. And then this would really be an item that I would bring up to council as a retreat item next year. So this won't be like this won't be on here for long. I don't have anything else. Thanks for indulging me on that. Does anybody have any questions or any other further comments about the fireworks ordinance?
No, the one comment I would like to make is to make sure that if we can get an educational campaign out there, it's not just the educational campaign about not lighting fireworks or what's legal and what's not. People know. It's educating those people that are upset, like Miss Teresa Walker, who is upset every year. And I understand that she's upset, but I don't think she quite understands what the response capabilities are of the police and the fire department. And if we don't have the resources to sit down in her front yard to protect just her, because our call volumes do go up those days, right? Especially the day of, but we're busy every day. For a perfect example, we were on last month and, you could hear a firework go off at Denise's, someplace around Denise's property, but we can't spend time chasing that. We would have to make a choice. Do we go deal with a structure fire or a cardiac arrest or somebody having a stroke or whatever else, happens to be going on at that time, or try to track down a firework? And police or fire, neither one of them are going to do that. That fire yesterday that came in, it was just a residential house fire. We had resources from almost every department in the county helping with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, that affects those jurisdictions too. So when we have every unit in the city of Bremerton at a structure fire, then we're calling in resources to help, even though we call back people to help respond to get everybody back into their area. So it's a big snowballing effect. And on the 4th of July, everybody's doing the same thing, right? All the fire departments, all the police departments are handling numerous emergencies. And to be able to educate those people, it's not an option to bring the National Guard in like she wanted to do, right? The governor's not going to give us the National Guard to
I
patrol.
don't know, honestly. There were so many complaints that it was really hard to read every one of them word for word, which I tried to do, but
Right,
I
but I
really
mean,
tried to focus on people in my district, and I don't know how many people in my district honestly complained. So that's why we're split up like that, right? So.
right, but I mean, if we look at the true complaints, right, we had 71 people that complained to Kitsap 911 out of 40,000.
Right.
Think about the staff hour, just the staff hours this year that we have put into those 71 complaints.
To be fair though, some of those complaints came in online, and some people had, there was at least one report that I know of that the only person that I talked to that tried to access the online form, they weren't sure if it actually went through. It just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. So probably because a lot of people were logging complaints, because it sounded like CENTCOM was referring people to this website.
Right, and that's the way, I mean, over the last, Chief, I don't know, 4 years, I think we've used that website versus people calling in. That we used to have a dedicated line that people would call and just leave a message. But they can't clog up the 911 system because of they don't like the loud booms. We just don't have enough dispatchers, and especially right now, I mean, our dispatch center's running 30% down, 45% down on dispatchers.
I was shocked when I found that out the other day. So
Mm.
we're really having trouble getting 911 dispatchers right now. So, yeah, Jennifer, I really liked, your line of thought on, dialogue and getting people to discuss. It's not, let's get rid of fireworks, but this is the effect of fireworks on me as a pet owner, as a person with PTSD, as a, I'm sensitive to this, and here's the effect it has on me. When we put a face with it, when we put a name with it, it's not just those guys. Now it's people that, our neighbors, and
Right.
maybe it's a citywide good neighbor campaign that, I mean, it's not just fireworks. It's, pick the soup du jour, and we use Beat Cat, and we do some public service stuff, and we talk about, hey, let's be good neighbor, and maybe launch a whole campaign Bremerton wide of, hey, in Bremerton, this is how we're good neighbors in Bremerton. We take care of each other. And we put stories out there of neighbors taking care of neighbors. And, Kylie is another one who is really good at, hey, let's hand this problem back to people to solve for themselves. The government doesn't need to solve it for them.
Right.
And so we, I like taking that and your idea and just kind of giving people pushes and nudges in the right direction, give them the tools to solve their problems, and then letting them be neighbors and work it out. And, it's not going to work everywhere. We're always going to have that one fill in your favorite explicative person. And we'll always have them, and we'll hand them off to Gary to deal with. But the rest of them, maybe we can get them, if we reduce it by 10, 20%, I mean, we're moving in the right direction.
I like that, a good neighbor campaign. I'm just still exploring how to make something like this happen. And so I want to get some more information, some more research under my belt before I make a full proposal. So, and just to kind of go back to what you were just stating, McGanny, I totally get what you're saying. I just wonder, like, it wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be city council creating this sort of information infographic. It would be the stakeholders. And so if you're proposing to make an infographic about the capacity of the fire department, I might throw that back down to you and ask you what that would look like. If it was to, what would that look like within your department if you were to put out a message just stating that, right? I mean, so I'm just handing that back to you.
Well, that's easy. I mean, to throw comparisons and, call volumes and everything else that, where we're at.
Mhm.
That would just, it's not there. I mean, the data is there call volume wise. I mean, if you look at it, and just a simple one that we do is comparisons to other jurisdictions in the county.
Mhm.
If you compare us to Paulsville Fire Department, Bainbridge Island Fire Department, and North Kitsap Fire Department, we run more calls in the city of Bremerton than those three jurisdictions put together. And we're doing it with 14 people and they're doing it with 24.
Wow.
So, and you know, BPD can say the same thing. I mean, we're a smaller jurisdiction, but we're busy, and it has to do a lot with our clientele.
Yeah, there's I mean, there definitely is a capacity issue. That's very clear. And y'all aren't the, CENTCOM and, it's not the only agency seeing it nationwide. I mean, we're, well, thank you very much. I like the idea of a good neighbor campaign. Maybe I'll connect with Eric about his concept for good neighbor handbook. But I still want to continue to do a little bit of research on this before I present a proposal. And so I appreciate that you're indulging me on this. Okay. Is there any other, I don't have any other business. Does anybody else have any other business before I adjourn the meeting? Great.
No,
I know I saw Gary over there yawning. He needs to go take a nap, but that was me the other day. All right, well, our next meeting is Thursday, September 1st, 2022 at, theoretically speaking, at 4 p.m. All right, thanks for joining in on the conversation, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer, send me an email with your dates that work for you for ride-alongs.
Okay, thank you, I will.
We'll get you hooked up and out there.
All right, see, the cookies, they work every time, man.
Every time.
Maybe I'll have a new variety this time.
They're in the same family as donuts, so they work.
I knew I wasn't bringing, I don't even make donuts, but if I did, I knew I wouldn't have brought any. You all need diversity in your diet. So,
Kevin Crane's wife used to do homemade donuts. Oh my gosh.
let me, I'm still recording, so I will. Thank you. And